Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are once again doing another comparison video. This time, comparing the KV-2, the King of Derp, the only Tier 6 heavy tank, and in fact, only Tier 6 vehicle to carry a 150mm armament at Tier 6, but also the T-150, which you can see is a very similar design, but this is a way more heavily armored Tier 6 heavy tank that carries a spectacular 107mm gun with fantastic penetration for the standard, premium, and as well damage at 320 per shot. So I love both of these vehicles for their own respective things going. Of course, the KV-2 will always be my favorite Tier 6 just because it's got that King of Derp. Even while the KV-2 has an awful damage per minute, the reload is 21 seconds, while the aiming time is just completely atrocious. In fact, I would have a way better time aiming with a 183 anywhere on the map than a KV-2. It's just the ability to literally one-shot a Tier 5 opponent or even one-shot a Tier 6 or 7 vehicle just with an HE shell is what makes the KV-2 such a deadly tank. Even after the nerfs this vehicle has received, it still is a very iconic vehicle and one of the most played Tier 6 vehicles, in fact probably the most played at Tier 6. Now, it doesn't have great armor going for it, and that is the biggest issue with the KV-2 is it's got a very large turret. And normally, with size, you want to have good armor, you know, holding that size. So an E100's got good armor, the mouse has got fantastic armor, but this is kind of like the 4005, where it's got an extremely deadly gun, but it doesn't really have anything else going for it. And even the gun isn't the best anymore after it has been nerfed on the HE, but hey, it still does have that big alpha, and alpha is key, as I always love to say in Blitz. Even while the HE isn't the best on the vehicle, if you manage to even just hit the enemy, let's say in the track, even in a really thick part of the armor, you're still on average probably going to be taking off, I don't know, maybe about 300, 400 hit points. So this Panzer V right here, I might not be able to penetrate with the HE, but I'll still whip off a very massive amount of HP. And exactly that's what we're going to try and do here. Load an HE shell, and there you go. 451 hit points, just not even aiming, because of course, that is what the KV-2 is famous and always will be famous for doing. So there you go. That was more than half of that guy's hit points taken off with barely even trying. So we've got tanks like the BDR. We've got the M6 off to the side there. We've also got another Panzer sitting at the back of the map. Not sure why, but the main thing I'm going to try and do currently, and by the way, that Panzer was sticking at his vehicle. I doubt that we're going to be able to hit him, but okay. That was crazy. Well, there you go. That is the KV-2 for you. Aiming at an undetected Panzer across the map, and you hit him and one-shot him. And that KV-2 on the enemy team, I just noticed, lost a big slap of his HP at the same time. Now, they do have that Panzer IV sitting at the back of the map, which is not good for me. I just realized that, and that tank will rip me to shreds if he has the ability to shoot me. But we're going to see if we can get a shot into this M6. At least one HE. No, we did not. There you go. So you're starting to see the disadvantages of the KV-2. Again, the accuracy is definitely one of them. Trying to hit opponents. Oh, and you know what? That M6 actually the possibility of hitting me there. But the main tank I kind of want to aim at right now is that Panzer. It's got the DPM, but one thing we have again is that alpha. And if we just aim at his vehicle, which was sitting right about there, and hopefully we're going to hit him. Again, you know what? We might as well fire an HE. No, that shot did not hit. Okay, well, we're just going to sit here again, just enjoy that 20-second long reload that it does have. But the M6 is actually pushing quite aggressive. We did get detected by him, and he's pushing on our teammates. Now, because that M6 is pushing so aggro here, what I'm going to try and do is actually pin right on the roof of the tank, because of course we have the ability to do that with the KV-2. So I'm just going to wedge the tank down, and oh, I messed that one up big time, didn't I? But you know what? Still able to get an HE right in on the butt of that guy, and pretty much rip his entirety of the hit points right off of the battlefield. So we probably are going to die here. I did not mean to fall. Definitely a mistake on my part. But you know what? We're not dead yet, which of course is fantastic for me. And if we can slowly back up, oh my god, he missed me. We actually have a chance. Reload, load the AP, and there you go. Finishing off the BDR. We should have died in my personal opinion, but you know what? We're in the KV-2. You can't kill it. It's a KV-2. So we're already sitting at 2200 damage. One of the most ridiculous battles I've played in a KV-2. We were able to get that M6 even after I did by accidentally slip off the hill. And you know what? We're still going strong here, because the nice thing about a KV-2 is even while it doesn't have everything going for it, maybe while it doesn't even have the hit points on its side, one thing it will always carry is that massive gun. And that means that I still have the ability to one-shot both of these vehicles left on the enemy team, especially this VK. We're going to pop right up behind this guy, we're going to aim in on the back of him, and we're going to fire that HE, and hopefully, as you can see right there, we literally finished off the entirety again of a full health tier 6 vehicle pretty much. That is the KV. That is why I personally love it and will always love the KV-2. People always try and knock the vehicle and say that the nerf of the 10 millimeters of HE pen definitely ruined the vehicle. My personal opinion, as you saw in this game, yeah, it definitely hurt it a little bit, but we just smashed through the enemy like no tomorrow. So we got the Jagdpanzer off to the side, and he's probably going to back up. So my only chance of hitting him is if he keeps backing up here and goes all the way into the back, which, you know what? He's going to do that, and boom! Perfect shell, even while our gun wasn't fully aimed in there. Well, actually, it was fully aimed in, but you could definitely see that. Again, the accuracy on this tank isn't necessarily the best, but that's pretty much what you expect when running the KV-2. So that game was over 3,000 damage. We actually made quite a bit of credits, but I do actually have this tank permanently enriched. I do enjoy playing it so much. Now, as I said, a lot of people actually think that after the nerf on this vehicle that it's not as good, but the whole point of the KV-2 is literally just to dirt people. So I still find the KV-2 a really fun tank to play. Even when you don't penetrate your shots, you still really cripple the enemy, dealing 300 to 400 damage per high explosive shell. Now, moving on to the T-150, this is like a very well-armored version of the KV-2. The turret is really, really well-armored. You can see the whole front is part of it, a mantlet. Past the mantlet, it's got really steep angles on the edge. It's got fantastic frontal armor. Not only that, the frontal plate is sort of like a KV-1S, but actually very hard to penetrate, especially if you're angling it correctly. It's pretty much like the mini KV-3. It's got a lot of things going for it, and of course, one of the best things is the 107mm, dealing 320 average damage, and it's got 7 degrees of gun depression as well. The T-150 is honestly a fantastic tier 6 tank. I don't know why Wargaming ever removed it from the tier 6 tech tree, because I still always love playing the vehicle. A lot of people actually enjoyed the T-150, and now it is a collector. I really wish Wargaming would put it back into the rightful place. Now, this game here is, of course, against tier 7s, but really not super deadly tier 7s. The nice thing about the T-150 is that it has alpha. Now, it doesn't have great damage per minute. In fact, the DPM is quite poor. You'll see 11.5 second reload for only 300 damage. Yeah, not necessarily the best. But again, the nice thing is that you have alpha. I actually deal more damage per shot than every tank on their team apart from the Tank Destroyer and as well the Eraser BP-44. Actually, I think I do deal almost the same as the Eraser, maybe even 20 or 10 more damage. So that's the really nice thing about this tank, is it's got that nice damage. Again, it's got good gun depression as well, something the KV-2 can't really say. And you'll notice for a heavy tank, a really heavily armored tank at that, it's got pretty solid mobility. So honestly, the T-150 is a very nice tank. It's one of the few collectors that I can actually say, even after it did become a collector, was still a very solid vehicle. So I'm going to be pushing, of course, up the hill here. The nice thing about this tank is the turret armor actually works, so you've got to really work that turret armor correctly, because the hull on this tank, it's not spectacular. It's about, I'd say, 160, 70 millimeters thick on the upper part, which is decent until you realize that, like, most tier 6 vehicles are easily going to pen that. The lower plate's like 140, 150, so it is very easy to pen if you know what you're shooting at, but at the same time, it's got some really nice armor numbers going for it on other parts. So we got the VK-30 all the way in the back. I'm trying to make my way across here, of course, use my mobility to the advantage it has. So here we go. Let's get a nice snap into the SU, finish him off. Wasn't necessarily the highest roll, but also we still managed to kill a tank, so can't ever complain on that. Now we got the Wi-Fi Firefly right off to the side here. We'll see if we can get a nice shot right into the side. You will notice one very poor thing on this tank, though, which is the aiming. The accuracy on this gun is not necessarily the best. It is one of the worst accuracies you can definitely see. Yeah, I didn't really expect that shot was going to hit, so I didn't even fire it, to be fair. But we got a tank like this VK-30 off to the side. And while we can't pen it with HE, the nice thing is that when you're in close range, in close quarters combat, you know, the pen doesn't really matter. And there you go. Nice little ram as well for 119. Will give us a little bit more damage there. And that Jackson just finished off that player. So we're not necessarily going to get out the most damage this game. I know that the AMX is all the way on the other side, probably making his way up the hill. So I would love to deal with that player, but yeah, I don't have the most mobility, you'll notice, so I've got to really slowly make my way in the position, which you can see me doing here, just slowly trundling my way across. We also got the Eraser up here. I think he's up on the hill, which is good for me. Yeah, the Eraser is up here. Perfect. Oh, actually, both of them are. That's great for me, because of course I want to get as much damage out as possible. So we can't necessarily pen that AMX with HE, but again, we've got the nice alpha as it is with our standard shells. So we managed to tap one nice shot into the AMX, and I will use my nice reverse speed here, and we'll be able to tap another standard shell right into the AMX's front plate. So right off the bat, that's already 2 shots we've tapped into that AMX, bringing him down to 800 hit points. Now, while we are, ooh, actually we got a bounce as well. That's fantastic for this vehicle here. So we've got a bounce on this frontal armor. Again, we're able to get one more shot into this AMX. I'm going to try and wiggle it to the best I can, but yeah, I really am going to need help from my teammates here if I want to try and survive this game, because the AMX has got a fantastic damage per minute. But you know what, let's try. Ooh, that was a really bad shot from this tank, but yeah, we do have teammates here, of course, which is always nice. I'm going to try and use my teammates the best I can. This Eraser here, not necessarily the best player, and, ooh, come on, we can do it. Yes, nice HE right into the side of the AMX as well there. That was a 400 damage shell. Of course, HE is always going to be something that's fantastic on this tank. Again, I'm going to be able to get a nice HE right into the rear of that Eraser's turret, and there you go, 367, and even while that was a low roll, it's still a pretty impressive amount of damage when you do think about it. Again, for a tier 6 heavy tank with quite a good reload. So I'm going to try and make my way over to this Eraser. We're going to see if we can get another shot into him. Even if we can't, you know, I'm still sitting at a pretty solid amount of damage as it is. Oh yeah, that Jackson's probably going to finish him off, but there you go. That was a very solid game. Once again, to show the great things about the T-150. We were able to bounce a couple shells. That AMX was actually shooting premium shells to penetrate my vehicle there. That was around 2,600 damage pulled out in that battle. In fact, we also got a ram, so we'll go take a look at the post-game statistics. As you can see, my game is still broken. Wargaming, if you are watching this, which you probably aren't, so I don't know why I'm saying that, but please fix the issue with this game's interface. But even then, we did 2,728 damage there. That was almost a mastery, and you can definitely see that as well. The T-150 is a fantastic tier 6 heavy tank. So my personal opinion, which one do I enjoy more playing, and which one do I think is a better tier 6 vehicle? Well, obviously, the T-150 is a better tier 6 tank. It's got a way more reliable gun than the KV-2. The armor actually worked. It's got a lot of hit points. It's sitting at 1,270 hit points or something like that. It's got good gun depression. Honestly, the T-150 is one of the best tier 6 heavy tanks currently in Blitz. But the KV-2 will always be my #1 go-to tank. It's got that alpha, and it's got the derp, and that's just pretty much everything I want for a tier 6 vehicle. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more like it, please make sure to smash that subscribe button down below. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.